Alright, hello everybody. So today we're going to be comparing versions 2.1 and 2.2 of the VEX IQ Mix and Match game manual. So I know we technically should have started this at like version 0 in the beginning of the year and gone from 0 to 0.1 and stuff like that. But we're a little bit late and I'd rather start now than start like all the way down the line next year, right, with the new game. So here we're going to have, on the left, we're going to have version 2.1 and on the right we're going to have version 2.2. Alright, let's begin. So here this was probably a little useless to you guys unless you're a referee. But as you can see here, it says begin the code of conduct process, and here it says begin the code of conduct process and see figure v-3, which is just the code of conduct process. But this in itself does have a change. So before, right, if you had a conflict of interest, like if you had an event partner who was hosting and they have a team, for example, and there was an issue, then you were kind of cooked, honestly. But here they kind of added this section where if is the report about the event partner or team they are affiliated with. If that is a yes, then you contact your regional support manager and you do not talk to the event partner. So this is basically to protect fairness, right? If you have a team breaking the code of conduct like G1, G2, literally anything, and the event partner is affiliated with them, if you report that team to the event partner, they're going to be biased. So here it's just telling you, okay, instead of going to the event partner, go to the RSM, which is the regional support manager. For example, if you're in South Florida, you have an RSM, or like in North Florida has a different RSM, right? And these guys basically manage all the event partners, and they have another lead, which is the state manager, something like that, I don't know, and controls all the regions inside of one state. For some states, there's just one RSM, but whatever. Moving on. This is probably the part that might actually affect you, right? And during gameplay, I don't know, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but this is probably the biggest change that they did this version. So if you go to SE3, they added more clauses. They added D, E, and F clause. So now, right, this is about, you know, the rule that scoring objects can be connected to another scoring object, but to qualify as like a connected stack, it needs to be roughly vertical, right? They added these, and a part of that is in D, right? They allow you to rest the stack on a couple field elements, on the floor, obviously, on the load zone, on the base of the standoff goal, and the IQ floor pieces, right? So what, like, as long as like the stack is more vertical than it is sideways, and it's supported by any of those four, it is legal. But then if you go to clause E, which they also added, it basically states that if a stack is supported by anything else, or by another scoring object, or like an unapproved field element that isn't in clause D, right, then it's just 0 points, no matter what. And in clause F, which I actually could see affecting a lot of teams and their strategies, is if you have a robot that's touching a lower stack in like a multi-stack structure, like let's say you have a cactus stack, right, with 2 stacks on the bottom, the beam, and then the top stack. If a robot is touching one of those bottom 2 stacks, the other 2 are still valid, but the first one that the robot is touching is no longer valid. So instead of just kind of wiping out the entire cactus as 2 points, or whatever how much it is for touching, then only that one stack gets eliminated from the scoring process. So now with those changes, they updated the actual like scoring configurations of objects here. So the first one they did was SE3, which I don't think I've ever seen this in a match ever, because how do you get the pin to be supported on that beam like that? But basically, instead of being 71 points, it is now 66 points. It's 66 points because under clause E, it's currently being supported by another scoring object. So it is illegal, that stack. Now here, 66 points, both on SE9. But what they did was they kind of just clarified it. So actually, in my region as well, refs would actually count this entire stack as invalid because this robot was touching it. But now it's just this stack down here gets invalidated, which is kind of how it always was, but it just clarified more, both in the clause F that we just looked at, and here in the actual like example. All right, on to the next change. This is no longer, it's not scoring, but this is like this is G4, so it's one of the big rules, right? Like G1, G2, G3, and stuff. But here, they're basically saying they added more to this blue box, right? They added, as you can see, there's like these 2 brand new paragraphs here. Basically, what all this boils down to is that VEX just tells them to event staff not to hunt for violations, and it adds like consequences if you report a false or like weaponized report. So like if you're reporting a team, if an event staff that has affiliated with a team, or you as self as a member, because you can report people for G4, if you're reporting them because they're better than you and they beat you and it benefits you for them to be gone, right? And that's weaponized, and they like figure this out, right? You can get consequence, like you have consequences for that. Same thing with false reports. And then they also added a new significant Q&A down here, right? This is in regards to the new G3 and G4 rules, where they state, oh, the work must be student-centered and stuff, and the inspiration rules here. People were like complaining, or not even complaining, people were worried, right, that if you were able to take inspiration or copy a mechanism, then they would get DQ'd for G4 and G3, right? But here, what VEX is saying with this Q&A that they added here to 2.2 is that if you could just show that you built this yourself and that you developed and you did this, you developed it, you built it, right? Then inspiration is fine. If you can just show that, then it's fine. That's pretty much it. So I wouldn't worry too much about the brand new G4 rules that people were talking about. I knew I saw a Discord server that was freaking out over that. Here's another change that I guess I should probably mention, but it's pretty useless. They changed from each team must include drivers, coders, designers, and builders to each team must include drive team members, coders, designers, and builders. I don't know, like, drive team members to driver. It really, it doesn't change anything gameplay wise. Trust me, like, you'll be fine. All right, so here in GG1, they basically added clause B. They added clause B here. And basically what this boils down to is that only drive team members or drivers, whatever, may give directions during a match, right? Driver 1 can tell driver 2 what to do, right? But if you are outside of that driving station, or you're not loader, or you're not there, you can't like say directions. Like you can't scream out, oh, go for that stack, oh, go for this, go for that, right? It can't affect gameplay or strategy. You can cheer as long as it doesn't affect gameplay or strategy. Some people thought this was a rule. I know this was kind of already enforced in my region. I don't know if this was before or not. I'm pretty sure it was just as a Q&A, and I think it's fully written now. But this rule was already enforced in my region even prior to this actual change. Here in General Game Rules 10, so GG10, right? They clarified how you can reset the robot mid-match, right? I've done this before too. But what is changed now is that you cannot regain your preload pins, so you just whatever you don't gain them back, right? And you can only you may only remove objects that the robot was controlling. So if I have a pin in my robot and I took it out and I don't get my preload back, and they added a Q&A here. If a pin is accidentally knocked off a starting pin, support during the legal robot reset, a head referee should put it back. So if you knock it off, they can put it back. It's whatever, basic changes, I guess. I don't know. This might affect your strategy if you rely on robot resets, but I don't know why you would. I think that you should just change your strategy no matter what. I did see that this was actually a problem, but in page 54 of the new one, they basically just said they added the expanded clauses SG1C under 1 and 2. They expanded what team is what color using VEX VIA instead of just robot events, right? I mean, this changes nothing. It just shows you how to find out what team is what on VEX VIA. So here, right, the second team on VEX VIA is blue, and the first team on VEX VIA is red. Just like how team 1 on match list or red team on robot events, you know, they just kind of added VEX VIA to that rule. So here under R3, right, you can see that they added a brand new clause H, that basically states that event staff and volunteers are allowed to photograph robots during inspection and or at any other times when needed. I don't know when this will come up, but I guess that exists now. They can take photos of your robot. Alright, so here in RSC5, right, in Autonomous, they basically just say that, they basically line this back up with, what was it? With GG10. They just kind of align them up because this is about robot resets as well. they added once again that you don't get a new preload. You can't adjust the field. Just basically matching up the autonomous resets with the driving resets. Here in T5, where they talk about field variances, right? Like, for example, not every field is perfect. That's why your autonomous might not work in a different field. They basically add to here. They add pin rotation, and yeah, that's about it. Like, if a pin is rotated, not like legal, like if a pin is in a different rotation than it is on like the chart, basically, on how you're supposed to set it up, it's called field tolerance, and you just kind of have to deal with it. Which I don't really know how it affects you much. A pin is round at the base, like genuinely, I don't think the orientation of the little hooks really matter, but if it does to you, then I guess you gotta deal with it. Overall, right, version 2.2 doesn't change really how you score. Like, it just removes gray areas, it removes loopholes, and it just kind of makes everything more consistent across events, even with the refs and stuff. If you play fairly, right, if your robot is clean, if it makes vertical stacks, and you just play the game, you'll be fine with this version change. It doesn't affect too much. If this helped you, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on TikTok as well. Thank you all. Hopefully more long form videos and more of these game manual analysis are coming soon whenever version 2.3 releases, or if we skip straight to version 3.0 in January, then I will also be documenting that. All right, see you guys.